probably heard of rabies. It's one of those ancient diseases that sounds like something out of a horror movie. And in India, it's a very real public health challenge. But the entire story of rabies is built around a single, massive paradox. And understanding that paradox gives us both the terror of the disease and the hope that we can actually beat it for good. So let's break down how this fight is being won.
And this, right here, this is the whole story in a nutshell. This is from India's National Medical Commission. Once the symptoms of rabies show up, it is a death sentence. There are no do-overs, no second chances. And yet, if you do the right things right after you're exposed, it is almost completely preventable. That one fact, that's what this entire battle hinges on.
So in this explainer, we're going to dive deep. We'll look at just how big the problem really is, what life-saving steps you need to know after a bite, and the national strategy that aims to make rabies just a thing of the past in India by 2030.
First things first, to really get why this fight is so important, we have to understand the sheer scale of this tragedy. And when you see the numbers, well, they're truly sobering. Let's just start with this number, 20,000. According to a landmark survey, that's the estimated number of people who are dying from rabies in India every single year. To put that in perspective, that's more than a third of all the rabies deaths in the entire world happening right here.
Now, you might look at a chart like this and see that official hospital data shows a decline, which is good. But here's the catch. Multiple studies suggest the true number of deaths is tragically much, much higher. And why is that? Because so many victims, especially in rural areas, die at home. They never even make it into the official count. And here's where it all starts. We are talking about millions of animal bites getting reported every single year. And in India, over 99% of human rabies cases come from dogs. So every single one of these bites is a potential emergency, a ticking clock that we have to stop.
Okay, so knowing what to do in those first moments after a bite isn't just important, it's everything. Seriously, what you do right then and there can literally be the difference between life and death.
All right, these 3 steps are absolutely critical. First, and this is the big one, wash that wound. And I don't mean a quick rinse. I mean a full 15 minutes with soap and running water. Just doing that, just that mechanical cleaning, can cut your risk of getting rabies by about half. Then put on a disinfectant. And then do not wait. Get to a doctor immediately. And this is a super important detail. You wash the wound. But whatever you do, do not let anyone stitch it or suture it shut right away. You might think you're closing the wound, but what you're really doing is trapping the virus inside right next to all your nerve endings, which is the last place you want it.
So when you get to a doctor, this is what they're going to do. They'll figure out what category of exposure it is. Category 1, say a dog licks your arm where the skin is totally intact, no risk. Category 2, a little scratch, no bleeding, you need proper wound care and the rabies vaccine. But Category 3, that's the most serious. Any bite that breaks the skin, or even a lick on an existing cut, that needs something extra, a real lifesaver called rabies immunoglobulin, or RIG.
All right, so let's talk about these injections, the vaccine and this other thing called RIG. They're a team, and they're the absolute cornerstone of preventing rabies today, but they have totally different jobs.
Which leads to a really good question, right? If the vaccine is so great, why on earth would you need another shot? Well, the answer is all about timing. It's a race against the virus.
This chart explains it perfectly. The rabies vaccine is amazing, but it's not a magic bullet that works instantly. It takes your body about 7 to 14 days to build up its own army of antibodies. And that leaves this vulnerable window of time where the virus could be making its way to your brain. RIG is designed to slam that window shut. So what exactly is RIG? Well, think of it this way. The vaccine teaches your body how to build its own army. RIG is like calling in the special forces. It's a dose of pre-made, ready-to-fight antibodies. And doctors inject it right into and around the wound itself to go neutralize the virus at the source, buying you that critical time for the vaccine to get to work. Okay, so for the vaccine itself, there are a couple of main schedules. There's the traditional one, given into the muscle over 5 visits, but the one that India's national program prefers is this one, the Thai Red Cross regimen. It's given just under the skin, so it uses a much smaller dosage time. That makes it way more cost-effective, which, when you're trying to vaccinate millions of people, is a huge deal.
So we know how to save an individual person, but how do you save a whole country from rabies? Well, India has a plan, and it is ambitious. The goal is to completely eliminate human deaths from dog-mediated rabies by the year 2030.
And look, this fight didn't just start yesterday. It's been building for years. It started with a successful pilot program, then expanded nationwide. And then in 2021, things got really serious with the launch of the National Action Plan, which set that bold, clear target, 0 deaths by 2030.
And this isn't some small initiative. We're talking about a full-court press from the very top. The National Medical Commission has basically told all medical colleges in the country, you are now hubs for this mission, you have to train your staff, make sure treatments are available, get better at collecting data, and help raise awareness. It's an all-hands-on-deck situation.
The national plan is a massive, multi-front attack. It's not just about treating people, it's about vaccinating dogs on a huge scale to prevent bites from happening in the first place. It's about training and awareness and better data. And it's all built on this idea of One Health, which is just a common-sense way of saying you can't solve a human health problem that comes from animals without also taking care of animal health. The two are completely linked.
Okay, the goal is clear, the plan sounds great, right? But let's be realistic. The road to 0 rabies is not going to be easy. There are still some pretty big hurdles that India has to clear.
This map shows where reported cases are, and you can see it's not the same everywhere. But what this map really shows us, or at least hints at, is the bigger problem. This is just the tip of the iceberg. The surveillance gaps mean we know that the real numbers are higher, we just don't know how much higher. So to make that 2030 goal happen, these are the gaps we have to close. We have to count every case. We have to fix the supply chains so that life-saving RIG is available everywhere, not just in big cities. We have to keep shouting from the rooftops about first aid. And we've got to make that One Health idea, that coordination between doctors and vets, seamless.
So, after all that, where does it leave us? Well, it brings us right back to where we started, to that paradox. Yes, rabies is terrifying, but our ability to stop it is just as real. We have the knowledge, we have the tools, we have the vaccines, and we have a national plan. This is a fight we absolutely can win.
But you know, reaching 0 by 2030 isn't just a job for the government or for doctors. It means everyone, communities, vets, pet owners, you name it, has to work together. Which leaves us all with a final question to think about. What part can each of us play in making sure no one in our community ever has to face this preventable disease again?